And good morning to everyone. It is Wednesday and it is December 8th, the feast of the Immaculate Conception. Wonderful feast day, wonderful day for us to focus on not only this day, but the season that we're in and what we're preparing for, which is Christmas and the birth of the Christ child in our life. My thought for us today, I received a little while ago a book called Generosity. That's all. Very simply, generosity. And the thought I wanted to leave with us is a very simple one. Three different elements of generosity. Generosity, I thought, received. We're preparing to celebrate a feast where we receive the generosity of a God who loved us enough to share the gift of His Son with us. And then generosity shared. When someone gives us and we return with the generous gift ourselves. And then generosity just given, simply given. And I like to focus on that last point, just generosity for the sake of giving, for the sake of doing for other, for the sake of making someone else's life better because we've decided to enter into it. And the book is very simple. It gives a whole book on different ways in which we can express our generosity. And I thought in this season, as we're approaching this, and as we're in the midst of this Advent season, what better way to express that than with some examples. And so the example I'm just going to give three little examples this morning. One of them has to be with expressing our appreciation. Generosity is beautiful, the book says, and how we need to express that generosity as often as we can. It mentions that there are 8 billion people on our planet, and 7.9 billion go to bed every night starving to be appreciated. What would happen if every one of us throughout the whole world decided to make someone's life better by expressing our appreciation for someone other than ourselves? Very simple, very, very profound in many ways, and yet very simple. A second thought was that generosity is very thoughtful. And maybe one of the ways we can be thoughtful while we're doing our Christmas list and everything else is to call someone whom we haven't spoken to for a while. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be someone who did a good deed for us and we've just let it fester or just let it sit there. We'll call them just to say hello, not for any other special reason, just to check in and see how they're doing, just to remind them that they're being remembered. Generosity is thoughtful. And finally, the third element is a very simple one as well. How often we are quick to point out people's faults and weaknesses and failures, or at least perceived weaknesses and failures, and how infrequently we spend time catching people doing something right or putting a good spin on the things that people do. So catching someone doing something right. So much of our culture is spent in finding things wrong with others. So much of our discussions talk about the faults and the weaknesses and the failures of others. Well, in this worldview, the worldview of negativism, it destroys trust. It destroys hope. It destroys a spirit of well-being. Children thrive, young people, they hunger and they thrive on positive reinforcement. But the truth is, every one of us need positive reinforcement to thrive. My prayer for us as we continue in this season of Advent and Christmas, moving toward Christmas and preparation of Christmas, maybe we begin to think about our own sense and gift of generosity. When have we expressed it in a beautiful way? Appreciating someone just because they're a part of our life. The second thought, maybe being thoughtful. Have we called someone maybe we haven't spoken to for some time? And the third one is, instead of focusing on the negative things in people's lives, and they're easy to do. Every one of us are filled with weaknesses and imperfections. Every one of us, myself included, all imperfections. And so how many of us have spent time, instead of pointing out the weaknesses, which we're already, painfully aware of at times, instead of doing that, that we try to build up people by focusing on something good, by catching them doing something right and bringing it to their attention. Oh my gosh, what would happen? We might make someone's day better instead of crushing someone. I think it's important for us to think in terms of our own generosity, especially in this season where we're looking to be receiving. Don't forget, it's also a season of giving. So many of you have already been doing that with your time, with your talents, and with your treasure. And I so greatly appreciate that. May you, all of you, experience the gift of generosity from someone other than yourself. And may you, in turn, pass that gift on to someone else. Generosity is a gift that just keeps on giving. Let's be one of those that makes that happen. Okay? Have not just a great day. On this Feast of the Immaculate Conception, we celebrate Mary and her sinless conception, a doctrine promulgated by Pope Pius IX on December 8th, 1854. May we, and it's also an important day in the life of the Salesians. Where Don Bosco says our work began on December the 8th with Bartholomew Gorelio, the first boy. Came to him. Another time, another story. But for today, generosity, and celebrate the gift of Mary in our life in thanksgiving for her yes. May we continue to say yes to God's grace today, tomorrow, and every today and tomorrow of our life. Mary, help of Christians, pray for us. Mary, help of Christians, pray for you. God bless y'all. See you next week.